Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain Exchange. Good to see all of you. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting. And if you've been painting a while, I'm also here to encourage you to try some new things with me. So today we're going to be working on what I call coasters, just basic coasters. But it's going to be a mixed media event. So I have stamping on here. I did some traditional roses, and for those of you that are new to roses, I will show you this one is a boho rose, and they're pretty easy to do. You can also see I did a little purple there. Down here I did a little blue. So there's lots of things that you can do with this, and it turns out really cool when you're done. I'm going to work on coasters. So you can buy the tiles. This is my white tile. Now, this one is, let me see. This one is kind of matte, and this one is shiny. It doesn't matter which one you use. You're going to cover them with paint anyway, so it really doesn't matter. The matte ones are a little harder to erase, but we're not erasing anything, so you can use, and that's what I'm going to use today to demonstrate with. Now, you'll need some stamps, and I love this stamp that I got. These stamps work the best, the rubber stamps, because for some reason they adhere to the tile. See there? You can see the outline of all those leaves. That's from the stamp. So that's why I use stamps. I use this stamp, and I'm also using a little round thing, and you could use it would have to be bigger than a pencil eraser, but sometimes they have those pouncers that you use for stenciling that look kind of like this, and you could probably use those. They come like on a wand with a little rubber tip. I suppose you could also, if you had an eraser, not an eraser, but like one of these that was thin, you could use, a makeup sponge that was thin, you could use that. But look around your house. This is spongy. And I use only one brush. That's this one, my big one. This is a filbert, and it's like a 16 or something. It's huge. You'll need a wipeout tool of some sort. This big wipeout tool, we're not going to use the Pico-Pay because it's too small, will work really well. Or you can use either sharp or blunt end Q-tips will work on this too. You're going to need some Coke syrup, because what we're going to do initially is make the stamps, paint for the stamps with Coke syrup. Now, when I say that, what I mean is either Pepsi, Coke, or 7-Up. Some people say it doesn't have to be flat. I've always been told it should be flat, and it works for me, and I use it flat, so that's why I'm telling you that. I keep a little bottle of it, and this is one of those little dropper bottle things. And it's nice because anytime I want to do a project with Coke, I don't have to go out and buy another can. The other thing I use on the first coat, if I want to put color in the background, and you can do it on the second coat, but the reason I use it on the first coat is you've got this stamp on there that's going to dry, that's done with Coke syrup. And once it dries, it dries hard. You can paint around it and over it without disturbing it, but it depends what you use. So I use oil of copaiba, or I use a mixture of oil of copaiba and mineral oil, half and half. And if you use that to paint around, the oil doesn't mix with the water as fast. If you use a terpenoid and you want to put your background on after you've put your stamps on, it may lift the work that you did on your stamps. The other thing you're going to need, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but on the back when I'm done, I use cork. You can buy this at Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby. It comes on a roll, and on the back of it, it has an adhesive. It also has a little grid so you can cut it perfectly square. And you just put that on the back of each of these tiles when you're done, and you instantly have coast. Tile has a little bit of a spacer. I don't know if you can see it. It's here. If I hold it this way, maybe you can see it. See that line? It's a spacer. So when they lay the tiles, it bumps up against another spacer and keeps them far enough apart so they can put the mortar in. You don't necessarily want a spacer on them. If they're like this, where you really look at it from the front and you don't really see them, that's fine. But if they stick out quite a bit, it's not going to work for you and you'll have to grind them off. If you have a coaster that you've already, bought from a China store, like, I don't know, this is actually a Christmas ornament, but you could use something like this that's a coaster. You can use those as well. It's not a problem. So you have a lot of options with this, and those of you that are beginners and want to do roses is perfect for you. I did a couple and fired them for the first coat so that I have them to work on. So we'll do the whole thing together right now. I'm going to start out by doing my leaves like this. So you're going to use Coke syrup, and people keep forgetting you can do Coke syrup. Now, I would say use a black green. You could use, I also tried using like a Celadon, which I love, and this is a Celadon green. See what it looks like? And it's kind of too light. So I want something that's going to really stand out in the background. So you only need a dab, just a dab. You only need a drop. That's why I have a dropper. You may need two, and you just mix it up. And if it's too, see how that's gritty and it's kind of catching together? You may put another drop, kind of like you do with oil, off to the side and just pull a little bit over. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. Alrighty. So for the first fire, it's pretty simple. I'm going to put this over here so I can work with it. It dries fairly quickly. So what you want to do is you want to take your tile and you want to take your stamp. And you're going to take your stamp and look at it and try to get it as much in this as you can. Twist it and turn it. See? Okay. And then I'm going to put it on here just any way I want. Put a little more of my stamp. Try to put one in the middle. Maybe put one this way. You can overlap them. You don't have to. This is the fun part. Do a couple that go all the way down. Maybe one that goes all the way up. Cool. Okay, I'm done. To clean up your paint, when you mix it with the Coke syrup, you're going to find that it's best if you use either Coke syrup or water. And when you use your brush, after you use it, wipe it out, wash it out with soap and water. Dawn soap works really well. Okay, now on these, I've decided, these I did with the red, and it's a little dark. And I kind of like the way that these centers came out better. So I'm going to use soft pink. We'll see how that goes. If I need to, you can always mix colors just like you can with anything. So I've got, you can see the soft pink over here. I'm just going to put a dot on it. Make sure my mixer here is pretty good. I need 2 dots. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and you just get it real soupy, real soupy. And you're going to take one end, get it in there, and you're just going to go. Now don't go crazy on these dots, because these dots are going to be where you ultimately put your roses. So I think that's fine for that one. Now I'm going to let these dry, and you can do one of two things. You could either fire them as is, or after they dry, you could add color to them. Now when you add the color though, you have to be very careful, because you can't use like a Turpenoid Natural or a turpentine type of thing to paint with. I use copaiba, oil of copaiba mixed with a little bit of mineral oil, and I put any color I want on. This is the intuitive part of it. You just decide what colors you want. I would say if you're making a set of 4, see, you've got one that's in the blues and yellows, you've got one that's in the greens and reds. So on these, and I've got my fan going in here because I'm hoping it'll help things dry a little. I'm going to take a little, How about a little celestial? And I'm just going to put it in here. Now I'm trying not to go over my leaves. You can if they're dry, mine are not. But you can be as free as you want. I'm trying to get the color darker like this. I like the darker color. See, as I go over those leaves, they really don't, so they're probably almost dry. And they really don't snake too much. And then maybe I'll put a little up in here. This is just, you can do anything you want. Anything. You can do anything you want. See there, I went over it. Didn't seem to hurt it. You can feather it out. You don't have to feather it out. I would say, though, you want to keep it so that it's kind of a background-worthy color. So that's why, even though it's dark. Okay, now you can clean your brush with, you know, regular stuff. If you, whatever you use to clean it with, turpentine or mineral oil or whatever you use. And then go back in and pick another color. I don't want orange wood because I know I'm going to put red flowers on here. I always keep a color chart next to me so I can kind of look at it. So I've got a blue. I'm going to have green, obviously, from the leaves. So maybe I'll do a little, how about Severs blue? That would be different. Put a little of that in the middle to the outside. There we go. Now these colors are going to be behind these dots, which are going to be your, which will end up being your roses. So, you know, you might want to like try to keep them the colors out closer to the edge, or wherever you're going to have, like here, that would be where my shadow would be. Okay. Now, see, I think it might be a little dark near here because then that rose is going to have a lot of dark in it. So I can take like a Kleenex and just sort of pat over it. You can put textures on if you want. It doesn't matter. I've got a rose there, there'll be a rose here. That's fine. Okay. And I think I want this not like that. There. Okay. Maybe a little more blue over here. Okay. So that's this one. Now I've got this one. I've got this one. And I've got this one. Let's see. I think I like the bicolored ones that aren't all the blues a little better. Let me get my, cleaning my brush right now. Okay. It's got a lot of blue in it. Okay. So I have 4 of them ready to go. 2 of them ready on the first coat to go in to be fired. So that's the point at which you fire them, is when you have this with the background on it, the way you want it. And you only get one last chance. So if you don't like it at this point, you're going to take, everything's pretty well dry, you can take your Q-tip and try to wipe it off. But you're going to start to wipe off your stamp too. So you'll just pat it and you might be able to get some of the color off that way. Okay. All right. So now, how do we go from here to here? Okay, this is the fun part. All right, there are 2 kinds of roses that I do. Oops, I'm gonna have to change over my towel because I don't want the stickiness from the Coke syrup to get in it. Now, Coke syrup, the good news is you can let your stamps go and you can wash them at any time and they should be fine. All right, I decided that I'm either going to use, I can use a pump, I can use a flesh. I can use carnation. I like carnation. Carnation is my favorite. And the reason for that is because it's a bright red. It's not a dull red. So I'm going to decide where my main rose is. And I'm going to say it's here, okay? So I'm just going to paint it over. And the way I paint it over is I make the bowl. And then I come around the edges and the top and make the top. And then I'm going to fill in the petals on the side like this. Kind of pull them too. Now it doesn't have to be a real obvious rose. Here's another rose up in here. What direction do I want it to go? I may have to mix a little blood with it because the blood red is a little dark. Okay. So up in here now, how do I want that to go? Well, I might want it to go, oh, it's too dark. I don't want it to be that dark up there. So maybe I'll do it this way. Make it partially hidden. So now you decide, do you want this rose to come under that one? That's fine. Now, I might want to make this rose a boho rose. So if it's a boho rose, all you do is you make little C strokes around it like this. And that's it. And then I'll show you how to cut it out. This one could be a real rose. So we're going to take and we're going to make the bowl. I'm going to work on the center a little. There we go. I want to fill it in a little more here. There we go. Up here we're going to fill in the center a little more. And down here I think this rose is probably going to be going this way. So I'm just going to bring it down. Now, you don't have to be real perfect with it. In fact, the further away you go from the center of what you're working on, the less you want everything to be dark. So here I'm just gonna kind of go around it almost like you would daisies. Just use little C strokes. See that? Little C strokes. See how it looks? Here too. You can do this. We're just going to do little C strokes. Okay. I think they're mainly going to be boho because they're kind of close on here. So we'll see how that works. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to take and do like a moss green. And because of the blues in the background, I think I want to use either shading or a shading green, or maybe even a baby blue mixed with the green. But let's go with shading green or a celadon. And you can put in your own roses, your own leaves. So a leaf, for those of you that are new to painting. So far what I've done, so you can see here, let me start out from the beginning. Okay. Without the color in the background, I'll use blood so you can see it. I'm doing the center and I'm doing little C strokes. That's all I'm doing. This big part here is a C stroke if you're doing a regular rose. Flip it upside down. Do a couple little C strokes up in here. And do a couple little C strokes out in here. For this, that's all you need to do because we're going to cut it into it later. Okay, so that's my rose. And that's really all you see on here. And I determine where my roses go by where I put my color. Now I'm going to take my green, full load of like a chartreuse or a moss green side load of shading green, and I'm just going to cut in. You cut that way, you cut this way, you flip it over, and you do it a little end. That's it. This is very impressionistic, so keep that in mind. You're going to cut this way. I need a little more green on there. I want the green to come about halfway up there. I'm going to cut this way, and then I'm just going to flip the very end. Okay, now on top of that, you already have these green leaves here. So if you want to use them, let's say right here I go, oh yeah, that one's a nice one. Then I'll just use my shading and come across and do a little there. Maybe do a little on the end. Okay, that's good. Let's see here. What did I do here? Yeah, that's pretty good. So all you're doing is deciding now, where do I want my leaves? There's a little leaf here. You can enhance that if you want. Oops, that's kind of dark. You don't even have to finish it, because this is not going to be the, necessarily the final product. You could add more to it if you want. Maybe all I want to do is add a little shading on this side. You can do that. If you like the leaf and you don't want to change it, just add a little shading. The shading is down near the flower. I'm using shading green. And then down in here, there's going to be flowers, going to be leaves, but you can't really see them all, right? Okay. And over here, we might want to add some here. I'm just adding the impression of leaves. Do you see what I'm doing? Here's a big leaf. I can do that. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that pretty? And a little here. Maybe a little down in here. I think having these leaves already stamped on here is a big help. Maybe I'll put a leaf up here. So see, I did the basic leaf, but I did it more fluffy. So I did it this way with very little paint on my brush this way. And then I just okay. Now I want to change colors. I like a lot of color. Can you tell? So I like that blue-green that we used on the other one. So I'm going to put a little blue-green in down here. Maybe just bring the colors down. And it's going to take, for those of you that are traditional painters, you're going to go nuts. You're going to go, what? But I think if you're a beginner painter and you just want to do some layering and you just want to get some color on a piece of tile, and you like boho especially, this is for you, man. This is, so, okay. Do I like those colors? Yeah, I like those colors. I don't think I want any more color on there. What other color would I put? If I put a color on at all, it probably would be a real bright moss green, because I like that. All right, now I'm going to look at my roses one last time here and see if I have enough. Here we go. See if I have enough color on them. This middle one, I think, could use a little more color. So, same brush. I'm just going to put a little more color on it. There we go. Because now I'm thinking about sun's coming from here. I probably want a little more color on these over here. A little more color down here. I'm not cleaning my brush very much. Maybe a little on the ends here. Okay. Oh, I want some here. Okay. All right. Okay, now I'm cleaning my brush. Okay, now you can do one of two things. You can use, oh, they're up here. You can use this, or this to start wiping out your roses. My preference is to start with this. Now this rose is on top. Oops, I think I want a little more red right here. Oh, I have yellow, green. How did I get into that? There. Okay. Now remember, I only used the big, and you probably, if you don't have a filbert, this would be a good time to get it. If you don't have a filbert, but you have a rake, you might be able to use the rake. If you don't have a filbert, but you have a worn brush that has the rounded sides, that might work for you too. So, okay, I'm going to start with this because this is what I'm comfortable with. And I'm just going to start in the middle. And see if I can wipe them out. Now, some of these are pretty dark. Let me do this guy up here. There we go. First, I'm going to put where the shading is. There we go. I mean, where the brightness is. Okay. And then I'm going to start cutting. Wiping my eraser as I go. I'm going to do this. This is the way you do it. This is a boho. A boho comes out and goes around and comes back. But I have the other colors underneath. And they will come through. So boho is just round and round and round we go. See that? Now here, this guy's on top. You pull out and round and back. This and around and back. And if you can't get the color to wipe off, try a different direction. So you're doing this and this to come back into the center. This and this. You can do points. Here, we have a point. Here, we have a circle. There, there, there. These circles are a little dark. I don't care for them. They're hard to work with. So I would say use a pink when you do your centers. Okay. Here, and here, and you might want to even do another one in here. All you're doing is these kind of half circles and pulling it out, and it will start looking more like a rose. Just follow where you did your red. Can you see the reds? This I'm a little upset about because that should come out better than that, but it doesn't. Let me get a different eraser. This one seems to be leaving some of the black behind. Here. I'll use this one. It doesn't leave the black behind. See? So you're just making layers. You make the outer layer, then you make the inner layer. Outer layer, inner layer. Outer layer, inner layer. You can even make it right out if you want to over the leaf like that. And then here, you're going to go around the center. Yeah, this eraser works better. And here, I don't know that I really want this rose to be that pronounced. I think it's fine the way it is. Let me try some of these again. Oh yeah, this is a better eraser. the idea is you're basically drawing your rose on there. So if you can draw a rose, you don't have to worry about, now see, I'm trying to get these down here that didn't show before. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? There we go. This is the only one I'm really upset with. Okay, so that's kind of that. Now, to finish it all off, I take my big brush, I dip it in my oil, and I just feather lightly. Because you don't really want those harsh lines if you can help it. I love this up here. I don't know if you can see it here. Let me bring it up a little more. Can you see that there? I love how the colors are all different colors there. It's just beautiful. And I'm just going to lightly touch the edge there. But here, some of these you can even just pull it in. Here, I just lightly touch it. I like that. This one I really like. It's a boho rose and it's real simple. There we go. I'm just knocking it down a little. Decide which rose is on top too. You can always wipe back the back leaves a little more than the top leaves, petals, because they will be in the background and they will always have a little less glamour, you know, to them. Here, I'm gonna. There we go. I think that's prettier. And up in here, that's good. I guess I can't do much more with that. Thing is, you're going to be limited by how you did the, how you painted the color on. So that's why I'm saying, think about it when you put the color on. If you put it too close to some of these, you're going to get too much. I'm wiping out highlights now. You're going to get too much you're going to get too much color on your roses and you won't be able to identify your roses. So see this compared to this. Here, let me show you. This is with the pink, and this is with the other. Now, I don't like the fact that those are real dark red, and I guess I'll just have to live with them. But as a coaster, you've got that one, and then you're going to have these others, and they'll be pinks and different colors. So, and that's all there is to it. And try to leave the dark where the dark is. And if you need to go back, this is another thing you can do. Let me show you here. I'm going to just take darkest. You might want to go in and add a little dark depth. You might want to wipe over some places where you're not quite so happy with them. You might want to separate things a little more, like that. It's entirely up to you. It's yours to play with and do what you want. So I know it's a little weird, but I think you should use stamps. I think you should use color. I think if you're a new painter, you shouldn't be afraid of trying something. So the only thing you have to know on this is how to do a half circle. They're all open roses pretty much. If you want to do a traditional rose, then you just draw the traditional rose on like that. You draw your, you go around your center and then you do your bowl. Okay, so here you do your bowl and then you just outline each of your petals. You can do that. But if you're a beginner painter and you just want something that really looks different, but very striking, I think this is going to make a beautiful coaster. If you put the first layer on and you don't like it, put another layer over it. So what would this look like? Let's see. Now remember, with China painting, unfortunately, everything tends to build up. So if I put, this is This is a deep blue green. If I put a deep blue green in there and I paint it over this, I may get a little bit of a purple. I may get a little bit of a purple. Or you may decide you want to do a banding blue. Then you get a real dark purple, which actually isn't too bad. Okay, so remember that they layer, the colors layer. Pick up those brushes, keep painting. See you next time. Bye-bye.